But the gospel literally means good news. So did you ever hear that good news? No. That's because that whatever church is that, I don't know what one you attend or attended, but many of them, they don't even have a clue what the gospel is. Okay? The good news. And so all they do is they go through their traditions, go through their routines, and I've asked a lot of people who are Roman Catholics in this country, they don't even believe it. So why do they go? Right? And yet I discovered something when I was 17 years of age. I wasn't looking for God, just like yourself. Am I right? You're not looking for God, right? Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So you're the sort of guy that God says, that's how I work. It's not the person who seems to be seeking after God, because the Bible says there's none who seek after God, but God comes seeking after you. Yeah. And he might just grab you in the street and say, hey, I want to talk to you. Right? What would he say? Where's your life headed to? Huh? Trying to work hard for what? For what? So then what happens at the end of it? You just die and that's it. So you might as well say, what's the point? You know like sort of a purpose beyond this life? Because this life is gone in seconds compared to eternity. Think about it. If you were to consider your life would be like a drop in the ocean compared to the Pacific Ocean, right? And you're focusing on the drop and don't really care about the ocean type of thing. That's we need to think beyond this life. You're more than just a physical body. You know that, right? You have a soul which will never die. Where's it going when you die? No one knows. Okay, let's test that there. I know you haven't got a lot of time. How many people have you asked? No, how many people have you asked? Because you said no one knows. How many people have you asked? Huh? Theoretically, it's impossible. So you're saying nobody can know. Why? Well, let's say, for example, first of all, if I said, "Is there a God?" What would you say to that?
It's your opinion.
No, what is your opinion? Is there a God or not? Okay, you don't believe.
There's something out there. I just don't believe
Right.
that it's God.
Right. But here's where it boils down to two obvious possibilities, right? That there's something or someone. You agree? And that something or someone has always existed. You accept that?
Yes,
Otherwise, nothing would exist today.
I believe in evolution. I believe in science.
Okay, we talk about that sort of stuff all the time. Most people don't even really go into the depths of that. Okay, so here's the philosophical point of view. Things exist.
Yeah.
Have they always existed, or were they brought into existence? They were brought into existence.
They could have existed.
Okay, they could have. But you mentioned science, right, and evolution. The evolutionary and scientific school of thought changed in about 1950s when they came up with this thing called the Big Bang. Why did they suddenly come up with the Big Bang?
If they were researching into it.
Yes, and they said, we used to believe that the universe had always existed, but now we've come to the conclusion that's not true. It has come into existence. That's why they called it the Big Bang. Okay, and so from that point on, even people like Einstein said there was a beginning. The question is, how does something begin when someone begins it? Okay, so it's either something or someone. No, that's the only possibilities. So here's the idea: something or someone always has existed and has the ability to bring other things into existence. That's the only possibilities. Okay, otherwise there would be nothing today. Okay, the way that looks to me is that if you had those two before you, right, something or someone, which is most likely?
I think
Something without any thought, without any reason to do so, without any purpose, a thing. Like a stone, for example, is a thing. Does it have a brain? Does it have a wisdom, a thought? Does it have a purpose for doing anything other than being a stone? On the other hand, if it's a being, now we may not like that being because of what it represents, but let's say it's a being who has wisdom, who has purpose, who has design, and who says, I will show what I can do. Which is more likely, if you think about it like that? A thing that has no personality whatsoever, that says, what, I thought within myself I would create everything, or it didn't think, it just never even decided to move. It just remains the way it is because it has no personality. It's nothing really. Whereas there's a being then. Now, of course, we may not like that being, but the word being means existence. There's an existence, a being, a personage that says, I will show what I can do, and I will show and display my handiwork in all that I do and all that I create. That is the being of the God of the Bible. Okay? Now the problem with religion is it has added a lot on, so that you go, I don't really like the God of the Bible. I don't like that. But that's the reason why it shows us that we are actually in rebellion against our Creator. Don't you tell me how to live my life. Don't you give me laws and rules. I'll do my own thing. Just as it was exactly in the very beginning in the garden. Now, it might sound like a myth to you, but here God is saying to two people that He's created, here's the way it works. I'm the boss. See that tree there? Don't eat from that tree. You can eat from all the other trees, but don't eat from that tree. Because the day that you eat from that tree, you will die. Along comes a serpent. Whether mythical or not, I don't know. But the point is, a serpent comes along and says, did God really say that you can't eat of all the trees in the garden? Well, no, He didn't quite say that. I know you're trying to twist His words, but did God say that you're not to eat of all the trees in the garden? No, He said, I'm not to eat of the tree, that particular tree, because if you eat of it, you might die. Okay, another changing of the words. Didn't say you might die. He says you will die, God said. And the serpent says, not at all. God doesn't want you to be like Himself. He's trying to be God, and He doesn't want you to be like God. You'll be like God. And so it's all summed up in this. There's God, or it's me being God. It's God and His rules, and He decides what's right and wrong, or me, I decide what's right and wrong. And that's why there's this rebellion in man's nature. Always has been. It's still there. And you're one of them. I was one of them who just said, I don't want to know about church. I used to walk past churches and spit. I hated the idea of church. But it wasn't church. It was the God who it represented. That's the problem. You see? And so then we are in rebellion against God. We are sinners in the eyes of God because we break His laws left, right, and center. And God says, well, there's judgment to come for that. Now, at the end of this life, you may not know this, but here's what the scriptures tell us. It is appointed unto men to die once, and after this, the judgment. So it's not just the grave and thought that was the end of it. No, there's a judgment to come. Okay? Now, there's no way that we could ever fix the problem or rectify it, and neither did we have a desire to do so. We wouldn't come to God and say, listen, I know I've messed up. I'm sorry. I'd like to say, I'm sorry for the way I've lived my life. We won't do that. So God comes along and He says, I will change your heart. I'm going to do something within you and will cause you to see your need. And He's also fixed the problem. And I'm going to sum this up really quickly. The gospel is this. God Himself, knowing that we were His enemies, He came into this world, lived as a man, lived a perfect life on this earth, never broke God's laws, and He was treated as if He was the guilty one. Yet He was actually taking the guilt of us upon Himself, and God was judging Him as if He was the guilty one. And then He's saying, all those who put their trust in Jesus Christ, who died and rose again the third day, their sin is transferred to Christ, but His perfect life is transferred to them, and they're treated in the eyes of God as if they have lived a perfect life, and God will not judge them anymore. So they're no longer under judgment. I'm not under the judgment of God any longer. You still are under the judgment of God, and you will remain under the judgment of God that's to come unless you say, wow, Jesus took my sin, the judgment that I deserved upon Himself. I should fall on my knees and worship Him and thank Him for what He's done. But your heart hasn't been changed, so you won't do that. That's a fact.
I believe the scientific facts. I don't believe.
Did I say anything? Did I say anything that was
You said the
unscientific?
gospel and you were talking about religion.
Huh?
You said about the gospel, you were talking about religion. We're going back to God every
Okay.
single time.
What is your definition of religion? A set of beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay. And what have I mentioned? The gospel. Okay. Religion is trying to do everything you can to please God, working through a system of jumping through the hoops, doing everything that they tell you to do. And the gospel is different. It's saying, here's God's free offer, a free gift that you can receive. Okay, so you hear one thing, I hear another thing. Okay, now scientific. What did I say that was unscientific?
No evidence to.
Oh,
Man
so
came out of the sky, two people on Earth
so
talking to a.
man came out of the
Talking
sky.
snake,
When did I say? Well, I said. Hold on a second. Did I not say at the very beginning that this whole creation came either from itself? Do you believe that? Because that's unscientific. That's well, from something. From what? Can you tell me what?
Universe.
The Big Bang.
The universe is billions of years old.
What is the universe?
The universe is unknown.
No,
We haven't discovered it.
no. The universe is 5 things that you can distinguish what they are. Okay, time, space, matter, motion, and energy. You know that, right? Okay. Did those 5 things create themselves?
Yeah, they probably did.
Did they? So self-creation. And you call that scientific?
In some ways, yes.
No. You believe in magic, obviously. And I thought you were telling me I'm unscientific. That is the most unscientific thing.
I
That
just
things.
don't believe in the funny man in the sky.
Well, I don't believe in the magic guy that everything just creates by itself.
Listen, I'm in a rush, right?
Okay, what's your name?
So you
You're not going to tell me my name.
I'm in a rush. I need to go.
I'm in a rush. Must be your name then? Russian?
I have to go to work. Listen,
Well, take something with you then. Well, that just shows you. Thank you. No problem. Rush. And hello, guys. Want to do a test? Well, you can see these 2 cards.
Yeah.
Can you spot the difference?
Yeah, one's blue, one's red.
Okay. Anything else?
God, you're gonna pull a woman out of it now.
What?
Blue one is. Oh wait, this is the thing where one looks bigger than the other. So this, yeah.
Okay. So you're saying there's no difference.
No, that one's that one's bigger.
That one's. Actually, can you swap them around?
I could do.
So, like,
But you tell me first. What do you think?
that appears.
Ah, yes.
Smaller.
Appearances can be deceiving. Yes. Now you're obviously not local guys, are you?
He's local.
I'm local. He's fucking foreigner.
From where?
I'm local from here. He's
Right.
just fucking nowhere.
Limerick is not the
Now
middle.
I am recording a video here, by the
Oh,
way.
sorry.
So it's just that your language.
Oh,
We may have to bleep that out. Now I'm doing a. You see, you have a cross on you. I take it you're a religious person,
yeah.
or is it just like Madonna? She wears a cross as well.
I go to church every Sunday.
Do you?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Religious parents.
Oh, you're dragged to church. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to go.
You know yourself. Like you get used to it a while. Like,
But some people just do it out of tradition, don't they? You know, and they just said, well,
It's like Christmas, man.
I've spoken to people out on the streets like this before, and one lady, she says, I don't believe one thing that they teach me. I said, where do you go? Oh, she couldn't really answer, but it's just to be seen. Okay, now,
That's deep Irish tradition there now.
yeah, now I am what you call a preacher, a street preacher. I'm doing a bit of street preaching, although you probably didn't recognize that at first, okay? But I'm doing a transition because this question here about the eyes, this is an eye test. When's the last time you had your eyes tested? About a few seconds ago?
Driving test it.
About a few seconds ago?
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably.
By this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
do you want to be recorded? You can answer a few questions? Okay, you can pin that onto yourself. The camera's there. If you can stand this way, you get your face on it. If you don't want, you can stand the other
Yeah,
way.
just put it down for a second, Peter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so just stand there and it'll be handy.
Yep.
Now, here's the question. Right, now, I know you've answered the question that you believe that there's a God, right?
I believe there's something.
Something. So you're just going to church. Okay, do you believe there's a God?
Well, because it's a difficult question because
You have to define.
because for example, if you get I don't know, I'd say God is just probably some advanced alien, or it could not be,
Advanced alien.
Yeah, because do you know the way? Because there's a thing, because the uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Like when they see modern machine like planes and stuff flying over, they believe that that's God.
Okay.
So something like that, or it could be God could exist.
Right. So when we talk about God, we should probably define what we mean.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in Hinduism, there are 300 million gods. But when you look into detail on those gods, it's like that ant is a god, the tree is a god, the stone's a god, the crocodile's a god, whatever. The airplane flying over could be a god, okay? And yet, you know, is there an eternal God who has always existed and who is the creator of all things? That was how I would sort of bring it down to. In other words, is there a God, a real God, who is the creator of all the universe and who has certain characteristics which only that God would have? Okay, so if I was to find the attributes of this God, I would say, number one, he is eternal, having no beginning and no end. Number two, doesn't change, immutable, in other words. And then three more, all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present. And that actually is the description of the God of the Bible. Okay, so I'm asking, do you believe that God exists?
You could.
I don't believe that God exists. I believe in church, but I don't believe even that God exists.
Okay.
No, I don't believe any individual has been here forever and can tell us. I think.
You don't believe anyone's been here forever?
No.
No, I don't agree with that either. How old are you? Oh, about 2, 3, 4 million years old, you know. No, I don't believe, I have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you have to know everything to know the basics? I mean, the basics are this, right? I talked to this guy earlier on, and that is this, that there are things that exist today. Would you agree with that?
There's some shit. Sorry, there's some stuff that we can't explain.
Do you agree that things exist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. And did they always exist, or were they brought into existence?
I guess it was brought into existence.
Okay.
Like even if we're going by basic science,
Basic science.
most material, like, you know, the Big Bang, that's the material everything was created for, like that.
See, they use the word created even though they don't believe in it, right? But here's the thing. The Big Bang was something that came up in the 1950s, right? Because up to that point, scientists were telling people the universe has always existed. And then they changed their mind and came up with the Big Bang to say, well, no, it came into existence, right?
Yeah.
Right? Einstein and all that, because of the telescopes of space and everything they discovered, there definitely was a time whenever it was brought into existence.
Yeah.
So they're admitting what the Bible had said at the very beginning. You know what the first verses of Genesis say? In the beginning. Science is a little slow to catch up usually, you know. So there was a beginning, right? We got that far. Now, did this beginning begin by itself? Does something create itself? Do you believe in self-creation?
Yeah.
Do you?
So, well, self-creation, what's that?
Like, say for example, there was absolutely nothing in this space right here, right? And suddenly something created itself.
Matter.
Created itself.
Oh no, matter caliber.
So
Well,
self-creation is
nah.
no.
I won't believe in that really.
No. So something has always existed.
Yeah.
Right? It's either a something or a someone has always existed. Okay? If you go with the something other than the someone, why would you not go with the someone? Because that brings in God, right? But if it's a something, people are, oh yeah, I accept that. Something has always existed. But would that something have personality? Have the thought, oh, you know what, I was thinking, I've been here for millions and millions of years. Now's the time, the start. Why would a non-personal thing even have the thought or the purpose or desire to do anything? Just sit there and be nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if it's a personal creator God who says, now is the time, and time's nothing anyway, he has to create time to bring into existence everything and to display what I can do. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So, the universe is the beginning of time, space, matter, motion, and energy. And all of those things are instantly brought into existence at the same time. Can you separate one from the other? You can distinguish one from the other.
Yeah.
So if I had in my pocket, if I could, no, I don't have anything really I could show you, but let's say a piece of cardboard, okay? That is matter. It's taking up time and space. If I threw it somewhere, it would travel through time and space and require motion. You cannot really separate them, but you can distinguish one from the other. And all of these things were created at the same time when there was no time, by a God who is not bound by time or space, and that is the God of the Bible. Okay?
Yeah.
So what is the big problem with believing that? I'll tell you what it is. We don't like the God of the Bible.
We don't.
Why do we not like the God of the Bible?
Even if you read the Bible, a God that will send you to hell and make you live for eternity in the fire and like torture for the simple act of not believing. Let's say
For what?
For the simple act of not believing.
Where does it say that?
I could be wrong. I haven't read the Bible. So.
It's actually incorrect to say that.
Is it?
First of all, he's not the one torturing anybody,
Oh, sorry.
right? But the person who ends up in a place and is, let's say they were even tortured by their own conscience, right? All the bad things I've done in life, and why did I not do this? That would be a nightmare, right? But the real reason is not because you didn't believe in him. He's not like saying, please, please, try to believe in me. Oh, I wish more people would believe me. That would be sad if that was the case. No, it's because God has made rules and laws for which that we are to be governed, and we don't like to live by those laws. And so we say, stuff you, I'll do my own thing, right? God says, well, I made the laws, and there's consequences for breaking the laws, just as in everyday life.
Yeah.
See a stop sign over there? If you were to ignore that stop sign and go through that light, well, you may not hit another car, but supposing you did hit a child, or supposing the cops saw you, there may be consequences, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care, I'm doing my own thing. Well, see how far you get on with that, okay?
Yeah.
Now, if God has made laws and rules by which he governs the world, he has every right as the sovereign ruler of this universe to say, here are the consequences. The person that sins will die. Now, we all die. Do you know why we die?
Our bodies can only.
Bad driving.
Why would that be?
Well,
Why would that be?
laws of nature.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
scientists are telling us that every cell rejuvenates itself. There's no real reason why the body should die. Why is aging there? Now, remember what God said at the very beginning? In the day that you take of the fruit of that tree, you will surely die. There was a curse put upon creation and mankind. We aged. Even though, if you read the Bible, for example, do you know what age Adam lived? You said about people living for a long time, right? Do you know how long Adam lived for without the effects of sickness? 930 years, right? Okay. A lot of these people in the early parts of the Bible lived extremely long periods of time, and it started getting less and less and less. And that's because sickness, disease, all of these things have had an effect upon the humanity. Okay, so that's the thing. But not only will our bodies die, but there's also a consequence. You mentioned hell. Well, here's the thing: God has set aside a place for those who are rebels against Him, and who will not submit. They said, "I will not submit to His lordship." Where else will He put? I mean, in our society, when people break the law, people end up in jail, right? A place where you're going to be isolated from all the rest of the stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to suffer there, hopefully, because of what you've done,
Yeah.
right? Well, whatever hell is, I don't think we have a very clear description of what it is, but it's certainly a place to be avoided.
Yeah.
Okay?
I can ask you just one question. You said from the start of the Bible to now, people have been dying quickly.
Yeah.
And I'd just make a little point that a lot of the world is becoming less and less religious compared to maybe 50-60 years ago. Would you agree?
No, I think the world is very religious all around the world. You've got Muslims, probably one. I mean, there's 8 billion people on Earth today. I would think that 1 billion of those people at least are Muslims. Okay, there are various other religions throughout the world. There are many who are atheistic. I know that, but that's only a denial of the truth. They're simply you'll not meet a genuine atheist, and especially if you're in a thunderstorm in an airplane and it's going upside down. How many atheists are going, I don't believe in God? They're like, God help me.
I say to be fair amount of atheists.
Have you met any? They're atheists in name, because I've tried to meet them, okay? And I put atheists into 2 categories, okay? Atheists, the one who says there absolutely is no God, and those who say, I don't believe that there's a God. And those who are in the second category are really not atheists. They're simply agnostics who don't know any better, okay? The first atheist is a guy who, will there really be a person who makes a claim and can make an absolute statement, there is no God? They won't. I've talked to militant atheists who have said, no, I wouldn't go as far as saying I know for a fact that there's no God. I just don't believe that there's God. Well, then it's down to beliefs, isn't it? You know? But again, once you talk through these things with people, you know, you can come to a reasonable understanding that, well, there certainly is an eternal something or an eternal God, one of the two. That's all there is. There's no way around that. Okay. Okay. Now, why I'm not into religion as you know it. Okay. I wasn't raised Roman Catholic. I was raised in a different type of church, but all I saw was just rules and regulations. Okay. But that's because they were not presenting what is the Bible. They're not really presenting it properly. Okay.
So, question: there's a lot of subsets of Christianity.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many, like what, 13?
Like
that?
the ice cream shop across the road, flavors.
Yeah, there's there's Orthodox, there's Roman Catholic, there's Baptist.
Yeah, Baptist, Anglican.
Yeah, there's a load.
Okay.
So, and they all have their own different rules. Which one's right?
Okay. We use the Bible as the standard reference book.
Yeah.
If you don't use that, well, you could go off into all kind of categories.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. How many genders are there today?
Oh,
No, you can answer it. You can answer it. Come on.
The thing is, though, I don't want to get cancelled.
Oh, fear of man. Fear of man.
I mean, well, biologically, there's two.
Right.
Male and female. You have you have two X chromosomes or you have an XY.
Right.
chromosome.
Perfect. I agree with you. Right. But here's the thing. What if someone says, but I identify? And I'm using that because if someone says, I identify as a Christian, does that mean you are a Christian because you identify as one? Supposing you said, well, I make up my own view of what a Christian is. A Christian is someone who worships the devils on a Saturday but praises God on a Sunday. And I'm one of those. I've actually met a Hare Krishna who says, I'm a Hare Krishna and a Christian, because he makes his own definition of what a Christian is. What is a Christian? I'll tell you what it is. He's a follower of Jesus Christ, one whose heart and life has been changed within by the power of the Holy Spirit, and he wants to live a way which is pleasing to God, okay? And he's put his trust in Jesus Christ, what Jesus Christ did for him, and that's basically it. There's a lot more to it, of course, but that's the starting of it, okay? So when you look at all those other flavors of Christianity, they might say they're Christian, but are they? Okay, supposing there are certain things that they don't believe, and they say we don't believe that part or this part, and we do our own thing. But I'll tell you what it boils down to. Religion is this, okay? Jumping through all the hoops, doing whatever it takes to hopefully please God enough. That's religion. The gospel is different. God has done everything required and gives you his gift of life. So one is trying to earn God's favor. The other is saying you'll never earn God's favor. But I'm giving you favor because I want to. God showing love and mercy to people who weren't even looking. The people that we meet on the streets, they're not looking for God. You know that, right?
Oh.
I mean, who's looking for God? Where is he? I can't find him. There's no one. The Bible says there's none who seek after God. No, not one. But it is God who comes seeking after man. But he's not seeking after every man. He's coming after those that he has marked out from the beginning, even before the world began, that he says, I will show mercy to this one, but not to this one, perhaps. Well, maybe the other way around. What's your name, by the way?
Connor.
Connor and
Dennis.
Well, it's great speaking to you guys. Now, you said you're local?
Local enough, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm pastoring a church here in Killarney, okay? We meet at the Mon School. I'm not here to get people to church. I'm here to speak to people. And if, for example, that they said, you know what, I am actually quite moved by that. I'd like to know more about that. I would like to read more, study more, whatever. It's all available to them, you know?
Yeah.
Okay? And if you've never read anything before, this is the Gospel of John, okay? This you can have one of these as well. It's just a small leaflet. I haven't got another one of them, I don't think. But basically, yeah, some people have never read any of the Bible.
Apart from school, I don't think I've ever read the Bible.
Okay.
Only Bible I've read is something my mother got me when I was like 5 or something. It was a little picture book.
Same as me. But if you were to ask many people, do you believe the Bible? No. Have you ever read it? No. Wait a second. At least try to read some of it and see what you think. Because if you read something there and it challenges you, and you say, this is something else, this is like no other book. Because it would be like no other book. You know why? If the author really is God. I mean, can you think of it? Of all the books, and I've been in some libraries, massive bookstores and everything, right? These are men-written books. Men wrote those books. Women wrote those books. But if a God, now I'm not saying God literally wrote it and sent it down the way the Quran supposedly came down, but I'm talking about that the people that God used, he even used their personality when they were writing, but he gave them the words to write, and they're personally personal friends and disciples of Jesus, and others are Old Testament prophets, but it's all there, and you read it and you go, there are 66 books here, but there's one author who worked through all these writers, and I hear a voice speaking to me through what's being said here, and that is God's voice speaking to us. See? Now, what age are you guys?
18.
I think I was 17 years of age when I became a Christian. I wasn't looking for God. I crawled out of a pub drunk. Okay, I was not in the slightest bit looking for God. But when I got home to my parents' house, I looked up at the sky and I thought, what if there is a God? What if? You know, I never thought of it before. And then I thought, well, if I had died tonight in someone's garden, what would have happened to me? I've never really thought about that. But that's the starting point for me. I began to think, what if I had died? And if what they're telling me is true, and there's a hell, right? If there's a judgment to come, I mean, we shouldn't be so much afraid of hell as we are of the judgment of God. That's the thing we should be fearing. Imagine that you, okay, because like I said earlier on, it is appointed unto men to die once, and after this, the hell? No, it says after this, the judgment. First the judgment, then the other thing. Okay, say for example, you had to face a holy God, and you're going to stand and give an account of everything you've ever done, and we're going to have a conversation, and he's going to say, you broke my laws. There are consequences for that. Jesus took the punishment, but you didn't receive what he did, so you're going to have to take that punishment yourself. Now, you might think it's a bit severe, but what are you being judged for? Well, he gave us at least, the 10 Commandments, right? Okay, you shall not lie, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not commit adultery. There are lots of that, but even if you hadn't done all those things, we know in our hearts that we are in nature rebellious against our Creator, and we say, you do not rule my life. And that's the problem. We are rebels.
Yeah.
And God has every right to bring judgment that is suitable. Okay?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Jesus, that's a new way to think about God.
Now, by the way, so you'll know, I do have a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and some of these things we might put on YouTube if you have no problem with that.
Yeah,
that's grand, Jeff.
And if you want to know where the channel is, just look up Living Rock Church, Killarney. You should see a little icon of it, and maybe you'll see it later on.
Yeah.
Right, I'll give it a go.
All right, then.
Perfect.
Thanks for stopping.
Thank you.
Okay.
Best of luck, Jeff.
Okay.
Look, what?
Thanks.
Oh, shit.